morning everyone, I am Cyberly Racohos from BSE2 Math. Now, we will prove sets of arguments. Before that, we were going to explain first what is an argument for us to understand well what it is. So what is argument? An argument consists of a set of statements called premises and conclusion. So, sa examples natin is may encounter natin tong mga to. It can be written in symbolic form using letters and may mga underlined words din na makikita sa mga example which is meron siyang antecedent and consequence. Considered valid if the conclusion is true whenever all premises are assumed to be true. Pero sa mga matatakal natin mamaya is makukonsidered natin itong valid kung meron siyang rule na ginamitan natin. So, while it considered invalid if there's no rule that we use to identify it. So, here in our first two examples, we will able to form the logical symbols for each argument using the letters being underlined. So, sa mga na-underlined na letter is ma-identify natin yung mga premises and yung antecedent and conclusion or consequence. So, then we are going to identify further the rule of inference used to arrive at the conclusion. So, number 1, if you have confidence in yourself in class, then you will achieve better performance. You did not achieve better performance, thus, you did not have confidence in yourself in class. So, as you notice here, the underlined letter is C and A. What we are going to do now is to analyze the given argument properly, and we will notice that we have two statements here before the conclusion. So, yung nauna nating statement is, if you have confidence in yourself in class, then you will achieve better performance. And yung sumunod is, you did not achieve better performance. So, sa dalawang statement na to is makikita natin or mababasa natin sa argument na meron tayong dalawang premise. So, ano nga ba yung premise na tinatawag natin? For us to understand, premise consists of a sequence of statements followed by the final statement which is our conclusion. So, yung final statement na natin is yung conclusion na natin. If you have confidence in yourself in class, you will achieve better performance. So, sa word natin if is ito yung conditional statement natin and yung then naman is yung implication natin. So, as we notice, the underlined letter here is C, A. Kaya C implies to A. So, ito yung first premise natin. Kasi if and then yung statement or conditional statement. So, yung second statement natin is you did not achieve better performance. As you notice, meron na tayong statement na ganito which is yung naunang statement, you will achieve better performance. But the difference here is, dito is meron siyang word na not, so alam naman natin na ito yung negation. So yung second promise natin is not A. So we were in the final statement or our conclusion because of the term thus. Thus, you did not have confidence in yourself in class as we observe or as we notice in the first statement, you have confidence in yourself in class, we will notice that it is the negation of this. So, yung final statement natin is not C. Thus, not C. So, yung dalawang premise natin which is C implies to A, not A, therefore, not C. So, ano nga bang rule na meron dito para maging valid itong statement na to? So, the rule that we use here is modus tollens. Kasi we notice na hindi na pwede yung A, kaya hindi na rin pwede yung C. So, number 2 example, if an animal is a python, then it is a reptile. If it is a reptile, then it is a snake. Therefore, if an animal is a python, then it is a snake. So, as you notice here in the statement, the underlined letter is P, R, S. What we are going to do now is to analyze the given argument, and we will notice that we have two statements here before the conclusion. So, yung first statement natin is, if an animal is a python, then it is a reptile. At yung pangalawa naman is, if it is a reptile, then it is a snake. Now, we are going to do is to determine the premises. So, the first statement is, if an animal is a python, then it is a reptile. So sa word pa lang na if and then is manonotice na natin na it is a conditional statement. Sa if an animal is a python, we have the first antecedent which is the underlined word which is letter P. And the next is then it is a reptile. Our consequence here is letter R. So, yung first premise natin is P implies to R. So, let's proceed on our next statement which is if it is a reptile, then it is a snake. From the first statement, we will notice that our antecedent now is if it is a reptile. Pero if we will notice the consequence of the first statement, as we notice here, in the statement, then it is a snake. So, mapapansin natin na meron na naman tayong bagong consequence na which is underlined the letter S. So, our second premise is R implies to S. So, we were in the final statement or our conclusion because of the term therefore. Our conclusion is, therefore, if an animal is a python, then it is a snake. Our antecedent here is P and our consequence is S. So our conclusion is P implies to S. Therefore, P implies to S. So P implies to R, R implies to S. Therefore, P implies to S. So ano nga bang rule na ginamit natin dito para maging valid ang argument na ito? So it is hypothetical syllogism because here in our argument, we have two premises wherein they are both conditional statement. You'll notice also that the consequence of our first premise is naging antecedent na siya ng second premise natin. This form was the reason which we imply that P implies S. So here in our example number 3, we were going to give justification here in our argument to make it valid. We will also give the rules that are being used here. So, number 1, A. Number 2, A implies to G. As you will notice here, it is a conditional statement. Number 3, A implies to G implies to K. Number 4, G implies to K and implies to O, and therefore G and O. So, number 5, G. So, bakit nga ba naging G lang ito? So, anong ginamit nating rule? So, it is modus ponens. So, paano nga ba naging modus ponens yan? So, if we combine the number 1 and 2 which is A and A implies to G. So, wherein yung dalawang antecedent niya is, itong dalawa, is same sila. So, yung natira lang dito is G. So, let's proceed on number 6. K implies to O. So, it is conditional statement also. So, the rule we use here is modus ponens again. So, paano na naman naging modus ponens ito? So, if we combine number 4 and 5, so yung number 4 natin is G implies to K implies to O. Then, number 5 is G. So, yung modus ponens natin, alam naman natin na if meron silang same na dalawa. So, yung G is same sila. So, yung natira na lang is K implies to O. So, kaya naging K implies to O yung number 6. So, number 7, G implies to K. So, paano naman kaya nakuha yung number 7? So, anong rule yung ginamit natin dyan? So, the rule that we use here is modus ponens again. So, paano naging modus ponens na naman? And because as we combine number 3 and number 1. So, number 3 is A implies to G implies to K. And Number 1 is A. So, same na naman sila. So, sa modus ponens, kung ano yung same is yung matatanggal at kung ano yung natira is yun na lang. So, G implies to K. Kaya, naging modus ponens yung number 7. So, number 8 naman is G implies to O. Paano naman kaya nangyari yon? Anong rule yung ginamit natin dito? So, the rule that we use here is hypothetical syllogism. So, paano kaya naging hypothetical syllogism yan? So, as we combine the number 7 and number 6 is number 7, which is G. G implies to K. Number 6 is K implies to O. So, as we notice here that the rule hypothetical syllogism is if the consequence in the first statement here will be the antecedent of the second statement. So, yung K natin dito sa first statement is yung naging antecedent ng second statement natin. So that G implies to O. G implies to O. Kaya naging hypothetical syllogism siya. And number 9 is O. The rule we use here is modus ponens. So, if we combine number 8, which is G implies to O, and number 5, which is G. So, yung modus ponens natin na rule is, kung parehas sila dito, kung ang matitira na lang is yung walang kaparehas. So, O na lang yung natira kasi yung G is same sila. Kaya, modus ponens ito. Number 10 naman is, the rule we use here is conjunction. So, paano naging conjunction naman yung number 10? So, if we combine number 5 with, which is G, and number 9 is O, is gagamit lang tayo ng symbol na AND, which is G and O. Kaya nakuha natin yung conjunction or yung rule na ito is conjunction. So, therefore, G and O. So, ganun lang yung mag-justify ng mga rules at by steps lang yung gagawin and kailangan mo lang mag-combine ng numbers which is para makuha yung hinahanap na rule. The attached photo here is the example number 3.